Welcome to rSlash Am I the Butthole, where OP's gigantic boobs become a problem during a Dungeons & Dragons game. Am I the butthole for always putting my boobs on the table? So basically, my group of friends, about 8 people total, get together every week for D&D. There's only 2 women in our group, including myself. It's always at my friend Aaron's house because he's the DM and has this fancy table and his whole setup is there. Aaron has a fiancée who recently moved in with him. She's cool, and I don't really have anything against her. She just has her own group of friends and doesn't have the same interest or a clique, for a lack of a better word, with her husband's friends. Recently, she's been trying to get more into Aaron's interests, so she's been there for our games. She doesn't play with us, just kind of watches and plays on her phone, which is fine, of course. Aaron has a table that he set up specifically for our game, one with a recessed middle so that we don't have to put away our stuff at the end. He just puts a leaf over the top to protect it. Because of that, in order to move around your mini, you have to lean forward or stand to be able to reach it. Now, I have big boobs. I'm not a particularly big woman. I'm in my late 20s, 5'4", and 155 pounds with H-cup breasts. And yeah, before you ask, I've already started the process of getting a reduction, and I can't wait to have this weight off of me. The problem is that when I lean forward to move my character, my breasts squish against the side of the table, and after a while, it gets uncomfortable and painful. So I've taken to lifting up a little and settling with my breasts sitting on the edge of the table. It doesn't push them up or call attention to them. To be honest, I don't even think it's noticeable. With the height of the chairs, I can still sit normally with them there and lean forward without hurting my boobs. I've been doing this for months and no one said anything. But last week, Aaron's fiancée snapped out of nowhere and accused me of trying to put yourself on display and put your boobs away because no one cares. I was shocked, and I didn't know what she was talking about at first. Neither did anyone else, until she pointed at my boobs and called attention to what I was doing. She got really upset and caused a scene, and we ended the night early. She's still mad at me and doesn't want me to come over to the house anymore. I've apologized and said that I would try not to do it anymore, and I even told her that I'm going to get them reduced next year. She called me a show-off and a slut, and is making Aaron stop being friends with me. I'm at a loss. I do this all the time. I've even caught myself doing it at home with my own table without even thinking about it. Am I the butthole? So down in the comments, there are quite a few comments from short, busty women talking about using tables for boob support, which is apparently pretty common. Raised Poubelle says, it's a rare short woman with big boobs who doesn't use table support. They're exactly at table height. Signed, a G-cup. And Ginger says, can confirm, 5 foot tall with G-cups. They happen to be at table height and they sit themselves. I quickly learned how to not put them in food. I should get a reduction before they go south and can prop up a wonky table while I eat. Also, the D&D player in me can't help but think, alright adventurers, you're suddenly confronted with 2 gargantuan gelatinous blobs. Roll for initiative. OP, I'm on your side. This fiancé is making a mountain out of a molehill, so to speak. I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving her 1 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for telling my husband that he absolutely ruined the birth of our child? Our daughter is now 8 weeks old, so obviously the whole argument has gone on for a very, very long time. We both have been holding grudges, and neither of us think that we're wrong. So when I got pregnant with my daughter, my husband started immediately telling me that I should have a home birth. I really don't know why he was so adamant about it, but he was. At first, I brushed him off and told him that I would think about it because I was only 6 weeks pregnant and the birth seemed so far off. Of course, it came quickly, and my husband would literally speak over me at doctor's appointments when my doctor would ask if I had a birth plan. This caused a few arguments between us during those 39 weeks of pregnancy, but I never really changed my mind. Eventually, my husband's mother sat down and talked to me, and she told me all the reasons why they didn't want me to go to a hospital for the birth. I expressed my concerns about, safety of the baby and myself, but just like my husband, she brushed me off. I ended up telling my husband that I would take myself to the hospital when it was time and that I didn't want a home birth. He acted as if he didn't hear me. We met with a doula who was also very pushy. I felt overwhelmed and not supported at all. I was 36 weeks pregnant at that point. So when I went into labor, I was 39 weeks pregnant, and I begged, absolutely begged my husband to take me to the hospital where my doctor is. He wouldn't. He spoke to me condescendingly and called the doula instead. I was in labor for about 3 days, active labor for around the last 22 hours. I cried the whole time. I just felt that something was wrong. I was scared, and often they left me alone. The doula told me that if active pushing in labor reached 24 hours, I had to go to the hospital. I remember thinking that I couldn't decide which was worse, staying in labor for another 2 hours or having my baby right there. When my baby was finally out, I don't even remember wanting to hold her. I just remember crying out of relief. Obviously, I'm okay now, but I did not have a good experience. On my first appointment after birth with my doctor, she was very shocked that I had the baby. She was concerned. I was so upset. I told my husband that he absolutely ruined it for me. I truly never want to go through that again. I hear mothers say that they forget all the pain the second they have the baby, but I didn't. I love my daughter so much, but it was horrible and it was entirely his fault. So I told him that several times. He rolls his eyes every time and tells me how mothers are strong and how I'm not trying to be strong. I told him that if we ever have another baby, which he wants, that I will never do a home birth ever again. His response is, "We'll see." I can't possibly be the butthole here, can I? Everyone around me is acting like this is so normal, but it's not, is it? Also, for context, OP is 21 and her husband is 30. OP, in my opinion, we have easily crossed over into divorce territory. You seem to be focusing a lot on how painful and how unpleasant it was, but that's not the real problem here. The problem is how easily your husband disregarded your own wishes, your own safety, and your own agony over something that he just felt like he wanted. And I would bet you guys money that the only reason why he wants a home birth is to save cash. Because doulas are less expensive than hospitals. I'll bet that's literally it. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I think a fair rating for your husband would be like 4 out of 5 buttholes. Some people in the comments are saying this is actually attempted murder, which is a bit strong in my opinion. I don't think it quite goes there, but OP could have actually died here, so maybe it was. I'm not really sure. What do you guys think about this one? Am I the butthole for wanting some space from my daughter after she believed that I was an abuser? I'm a 41-year-old guy, and my daughter is 16. Basically, I was accused of sexually assaulting my daughter's 17-year-old friend. My daughter's known this girl for just over a year, so I've known this girl for the same amount of time. This girl tried to kiss me. I turned her down, and as a result, she accused me of forcing myself on her. It went on for a few weeks and even went to the cops, and it only came out when they were grilling her and she finally admitted it. The girl was assaulted, but it was her mom's boyfriend who did it, and she went with accusing me because I was the safe option or something. When my daughter found out about this, though, she cut me off. Basically, she didn't even want to talk to or see me. I tried to pick her up to come over, but she said that she didn't even want to see me. My ex wouldn't even let me inside the house. Even she believed it. And my ex-brother-in-law physically assaulted me and removed me from the house because I wouldn't leave until I saw my daughter. The worst thing was, my daughter blocked me on social media. But before she did, she put a status on her social media just saying some bollocks like, "believe women," which effing hurt. In my daughter's eyes, I was a R-wordist and I assaulted her friend. So now that everything came out and I'm cleared, my daughter rang me up to say that she wants to come over to talk, but I said no, that I don't think it's a good idea, that it hurt me when she didn't believe me, so I want to just think for a bit until I forgive her. My ex then called me, saying how hurt my daughter is because I won't forgive her. She tried to apologize too, and I told her that I don't accept her apology either, and that I don't want to talk to her either. They haven't stopped texting me, and my daughter tried to come over and was banging on my door asking to come in, crying. I pretended that I wasn't inside. Am I the butthole for wanting some space because I don't know if I can forgive her yet? Then OP posted an update. I've messaged her saying, basically, I'm still too hurt to want to talk and I need some time and space, and that I'll let her know when I want to get in touch. I also said that I love her, despite not really being sure if I can forgive her yet. I've also messaged my ex, saying to make sure that she or my daughter never contact me again until I'm ready. Man, OP, it's funny how basically every single person in your life was just willing to completely ruin your life and just throw you away, and then when it turns out you're innocent, oh, whoops, my bad, sorry. I don't blame them for believing the girl necessarily, but still, actions have consequences, and tossing someone aside like trash does have consequences. Am I the butthole for saying no to my girlfriend's tradition? I'm a 38-year-old guy, and I lost my younger brother when I was 22. He had cancer and fought very hard. Ever since, I've been donating blood on the anniversary of his death every year. I take the day off from work, visit his grave, donate blood, and then come home, relax, and watch his favorite movie. I know it's a simple, personal tradition, but it means a lot to me. My girlfriend of 9 months, Anna, who's 31, asked if I could meet her and her mom. I've met her mom many times before. I told her no, and I explained to her again what I do on my brother's death anniversary. She got upset and said, well, it's my tradition to have lunch with my mom every time she's in town, and she really wanted to see you. You can do your stupid blood donation tradition any day. I told her that it's not just about the blood donation. Later in the evening, while I was resting and watching my brother's favorite movie, she texted me again asking me to join them. I reiterated that I really didn't want to, and I would hang out with her mom next time. She replied that I'd embarrassed her in front of her mom with my selfishness and laziness. Since then, she's been distant. Do I owe her an apology? Then OP posted an update. I texted her that we needed to talk. She never replied. She just blocked me from everywhere. Her best friend, who was following me on Instagram, blocked me too. I am not sad about it. I wanted to end it anyways. Some users suggested that my brother and this tradition saved me from getting serious with her and a lifetime of misery, and that made me smile. You know what's weird about this is your tradition is a huge green flag. It shows that you're family oriented, that you have empathy, that you care about your brother. So you would think the girlfriend would be like, wow, this is really cool that he does this, because if he cares about his brother, then he probably would care about me and any kid we have. But instead, she fumbles the bag and throws you away over lunch. What an idiot. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your dumb girlfriend 1.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for kicking my parents out and saying, this is why I was so messed up as a kid? I had my 60-year-old parents over for dinner this weekend, and my 10-year-old daughter asked if she could play us a song that she had been practicing on her keyboard. She takes lessons. It wasn't perfect. She missed a few notes, there were a couple of pauses, but she did really well. She looked up at the end with a massive smile and started clapping, and my parents started effing laughing. Not just a little chuckle, a massive effing belly laugh. Both of them. My mom asked if this was her first time playing, and my dad said that it must have been. He said a dog could have played it better. It was like my daughter was shrinking on the spot, and she looked down and said, no, I've had 2 lessons, but doing it with 2 hands is hard. And they just laughed even effing harder. I just stood up, took my parents' cups, and said, leave now. My mom tried to say that they hadn't finished their drinks, they wanted to hear another song, etc. And I said, get your stuff and get the F out of my house right now. My dad started doing this huffing thing that he does when someone dares to speak up to him, and my mom said, there was no need to be like this. You can't protect her all the time. I'm preparing your daughter for the real world. I said, you're not teaching the real world. You're just nasty little bullies picking on children, and stuff like this is why I was so messed up as a kid. Now leave. They got their stuff and left. I sat my daughter down and explained how proud of her I was and how well she was doing, and to just ignore them. They were just being cruel because they don't know any other way to be, and I asked her if she could please play it again, which she did. On Sunday, I messaged them and said that until they can behave like decent human beings, we're taking a break away from them. My dad replied that that was my choice, but he didn't realize he raised me to be so precious. Now, my lovely brown-nosing golden child of a sister is getting involved. She phoned me today with my parents' version of the events, telling me I was a nasty piece of work, and I should never speak to my parents that way. That I'm wrapping my child in cotton wool and blah blah blah. I just told her to go F herself and hung up. I'm not asking if I'm in the wrong for standing up for my daughter. I'll always do that. But I did go pretty 0 to 100. I kicked them out straight away. I swore at them and in front of my daughter. I did raise my voice at the end when I said leave. I was and still am angry. I don't think that I'd accept an apology from them at this point. This behavior isn't new. It's decades old. But this is the first time that it affected my daughter. OP, when your mom said, "Hey, we haven't finished our drinks," I'm amazed that you had the willpower not to throw those drinks in their face. Honestly, sometimes the things that people can say are just fighting words, and those are fighting words. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your parents 2 out of 5 buttholes.
That was rSlash Am I the Butthole? And if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.